Hey, welcome back. This is part two of the top 10 most unknown, under the radar type church leaders according to the Chicano Knox. All right, so coming in at number nine will have to be Dr. Jordan B. Cooper. He's a Lutheran church leader, church pastor, theologian, writer, author, however you want to describe him. But he's definitely a really good Lutheran out there who I like to listen to and who I have read a couple of his books. And, he is a Lutheran. So, you might be thinking, why would you put a Lutheran a conservative theologian Lutheran on your top 10 church leaders. And one is because I want to show you that I'm not biased. And I want to have church leaders from across the denominational boundaries. As a Presbyterian, I want to show you that I do look to Lutherans, and I do like Lutherans, even though we have differences from the Reformed faith, traditionally speaking, and there might be a gap between the Reformed faith and to the Lutheran understanding of the Reformed faith. You understand? So I want to give credence. There are differences. I don't agree with everything that he says, but I definitely want to point out that one, I appreciate his tenacity of staying consistent to what he believes, right? According to why he is a Lutheran, or what makes him a Lutheran. I love that consistency in people, and Dr. Cooper has this tenacious consistency about him that draws me to him. Another thing is that he has a really mellow, steady type attitude. He's not a charismatic type personality. He's not a colorful personality where he's out there waving his hands, yelling. He may be, I don't know. But I do love this teacher, professor type mentality he has, almost like a wizard, just talking to you like a classroom setting. You know what I mean? When you hear him talk, I'm gonna play a video real quick. When you hear him talk, pay attention to his style of communication. Pay attention to his how he is laser focused on communication, trying to unfold these ideas, to us. I'm not going to play the whole video, but hopefully you catch it. But not only that, but pay attention to how he is speaking like a Lutheran. And I know many of my Reformed brothers and sisters out there, maybe you never met a Lutheran. Maybe you don't even know Lutherans still exist. Well, that's why I love and I appreciate Dr. Cooper. Coming in at number nine is a Lutheran. Let's go ahead and play it. Let's check it out.
These are 5 reasons why I am Lutheran.
Classic intro, by the way.
Now, I've done a series of videos why I am not Roman Catholic, why I am not Reformed, why I am not Eastern Orthodox, and those are things that people had requested that I do. But some people also requested that I just do a positive video as well, instead of just talking about why I'm not certain things, talking about why it is that I am Lutheran. So I think it'd be worthwhile to break down this into 5 reasons, and I really could get into a lot more than this, and just so you know, this is a brief summary of some of the reasons, and I could expand upon any of these quite a bit more, and I could give many more reasons than this. If you do want to learn about Lutheranism, you don't know anything about it, I would recommend picking up a copy of a book that our publishing house just recently republished. It's a classic work called The Way of Salvation in the Lutheran Church. Go to jspublishing.com. I'll post a link down below if you want to check that out. But now let's jump right to the reasons. Now, the first reason that I'm going to give that I'm a Lutheran is really probably the one you'll find for most people that are Lutherans, especially converts to Lutheranism from some other Christian tradition, and that is really the centrality of the gospel. And the gospel has a central position in Lutheranism that it really just doesn't have within other Christian traditions. This isn't to say other Christian traditions don't believe in the gospel, or that it's not there, or that it's not talked about, but the gospel-centric nature of the theology of Lutheranism is very different. And I think you just see this, in a lot of ways. One of the ways is you see it in worship, and the way that worship is structured is that we have an understanding of worship that primarily we go to worship to a service, not to just give something to God, but instead to receive from God, because we are the ones in need. God is not the one who is in need, which is kind of a radical way of shifting, I think, how a lot of people think about worship, is we're giving something to God. But really, we're the ones in need. We come to worship because we are weak, we are sinners, we need his gifts and his love and forgiveness. And the entire structure of the service surrounds that. It's about God giving us his love, giving us his grace, giving us his forgiveness, his righteousness, all of those great gifts. And we then respond with praise and thanksgiving. But it's the centrality of what God is doing that centers the entirety of the worship service. And that really is true, not just in terms of the worship service, but in how we understand the Christian life. So you'll see this, I think, if you look at Lutheran preaching, if you listen to Lutheran preaching in comparison with preaching from some other traditions, you are generally going to hear a lot more about the gospel in terms of its centrality. And that doesn't mean there's going to be no talk of anything else, but it's all filtered through the lens of Christ for us and what he's done for us. And this was really at the center of the Reformation, was this idea that we can't just speak about theology in the abstract and God in the abstract, but we're always speaking the truth of what this means for us. Christ died for you. He is for you. Not just, we can talk about things like the attributes of God, and we can talk about the nature of the
All right, so I'm not gonna play the whole video. That's one of the classics that I first got introduced to. Dr. Cooper is his uh, devotion to Lutheranism, Lutheran doctrine, the purity of Lutheran doctrine. I really appreciate that, and it's one of those things that I really like consistency back to that attribute in a teacher. And second, I really like his style of communication. Sometimes, I don't want charismatic personalities. You know what I mean? I want sometimes a wizard. I consider Dr. Cooper like to be sort of a wizard personality, and I mean that in the most positive sense possible, in terms of communication style, in terms of deliverance, in terms of talking so fast. You know what I mean? And all those things are positive attributes that Dr. Cooper communicates, at least to me, in my opinion. And that's one of the things I most like about Dr. Cooper is that he's a hardcore Lutheran. How many hardcore Lutherans do you know? Raise your right hand. How many Lutherans do you appreciate? Raise your right hand. How many Lutherans can you agree with on sola scriptura? Right. And I don't need to agree with Dr. Cooper on everything. I know there's things we disagree with the Reformed faith, as being me, a Presbyterian, and him being a Lutheran. I know that. But I want to stress the importance of why he's number 9 on my list. And that's because of those things. And let me go ahead and share my screen once again and show you some of the books that he has written. Now, this is on Amazon. You can find more. So he's written Hands of Faith, this red book here. He's written, let's call it The Doctrine of Justification right here. Really great stuff. Baptized into Christ, Union with Christ. Let me see. American Lutheran Theological Journal, Volume 1. So go ahead and give him a follow on Amazon. This is something I didn't know, but you could go ahead and follow your favorite authors. I follow my authors, so there's a little video updates from the authors. Let's see what he says here. Might be an older video.
Hi, I wanted to do a video introducing my
definitely
book
older.
that I recently got published, for those of you who might be interested. This book is called The Righteousness of One, an evaluation of early patristic soteriology in light of the new perspective on Paul. Now, this is essentially an updated version of my master's thesis. The foreword is written by Peter Leithart, and the premise of the book, essentially, I'm studying the new perspective on Paul from the perspective of historical theology. So a lot of the works out there that are on the new perspective deal with the exegetical issues in Paul's letters and dealing with the nature of Second Temple Judaism. But I'm really doing something very different that hasn't been done from a lot of the other writings.
All right. So you see how his style has not changed much in terms of when he was young, in terms of him now present. Justin Center, I think it's his podcast. I do tune into that once in a while. To be honest, he's also what you call it? I don't know if he's a teacher or a leader of the Weiner Institute. So the Weiner Institute exists to provide theological education both to those who are interested in learning but not gaining a seminary degree, as well as for pastors and other church workers who desire to have continued education, CE, aka CE. And that's one of the things that I really like about Dr. Cooper, is that he has a tenacity to education. He has a tenacity to teaching. He has a tenacity of just being a wizard in terms of delivery and unfolding, unpacking what is Lutheran doctrine? What do Lutherans believe? What is liturgy according to classical Lutheranism? You know what I mean? So it's okay to look to the other side, guys. It's okay to glean from other church leaders that are not in your corner per se, in terms of denomination, in terms of tradition, in terms of who might interpret things differently. And if you disagree, that's okay. You disagree in love, you disagree in respect, you disagree with the smile, you disagree with so much Christness, right, in your mind, and love for that person. As much I disagree with Dr. Cooper, I have to acknowledge that he's doing good work for Christ. He's doing great work in the Western world that goes miles and miles unnoticed. Yes, we could sit here and speak on volumes on why we disagree on this, why we disagree on that. Those things needs to be talked about. Those things need to be brought out in the light, in Christian love and Christian charity, as Jonathan Edwards would say. But at the same time, what is the core reason why we are brothers? Is it the gospel? Is it Jesus? I would say yes. And that's why I I am gravitated to pastors and church leaders who are as smart as Dr. Cooper. Is he the wisest man in the Western world or in the Eastern world? Probably not. Is he the smartest Lutheran who ever lived? I don't know. I'm not qualified to even assess that. But to acknowledge that this man has been blessed by the Lord with certain gifts to come out there, to stay consistent, to be a wizard in Lutheranism, to preach in the style of an educated practitioner, should I say? You know what I mean? Hopefully, this video is enlightening. Hopefully, you can walk away with a greater appreciation and curiosity to learn more about Lutheranism. I'm not a Luther. I'm not a Lutheranism, but I love Luther. I gotta have me some Lutheranism. Luther, you know what I mean? He nailed it. You know what I mean? Hashtag he nailed it. That's one of the reasons why hopefully you find this video edifying. Hopefully, I made my points clear, clean, easy to understand and pick up. Go ahead and follow the links that he's provided, and I will provide here in the links. Stay tuned to my next video.